Why do foreigners end up leaving Poland? Well, we're going to be talking about that in today's video. Link to the original videos down in the description below. If you like the conversations and discussions we have here on my channel, consider subscribing. I also have a playlist to all my Polish videos down in the description as well. Without further ado, let's jump into it.
Foreigner. Seems like a lot of people are romanticizing Poland right now because of their strong anti-illegal immigration stance, their very nationalistic and protective culture, how safe it is, how fast it's developing. And that causes a lot of people to come here for the fantasy. They think that, oh, Poland.
I think that's true, but I know we're just jumping into it right away. I think a lot of that is true. That's how I come to note. Well, actually, Poland came on my radar because I saw some Christmas videos and I was like, I want to spend Christmas in Poland one year. But I then started looking into Poland, and yes, that is enticing to a lot of people, especially a lot of Americans who are so tired of the super like self-destructive nature of some of the radical Western ideas. And so that is true, but I don't think it's as much as popular as some might see it as. If anything, Poland still has a negative stigma in America. So I agree, but I don't think it's that popular of an opinion.
Poland is this utopia here in Europe, but then all of a sudden reality hits and most people end up leaving.
I mean, yes, but it is, but compared to like, if you compare it to other things, I don't think anybody just sees it as like Poland normally. Because again, the POV, the perception of Poland, mostly in America, is actually negative, not so much positive. I have a positive perception of it, but I know I'm in the minority.
I've lived here long enough to see people come and go, and I'm going to tell you exactly why most foreigners end up leaving Poland. So this seems to be a basic pattern. A lot of foreigners come to this country and they go through the honeymoon phase. I know for me, because I've only visited Europe, but this is the first time that I've actually lived here. Getting to experience the European life is amazing. Public transportation everywhere, a lot more chill and laid back way of life. Not a heavy focus on work, but more of like a work-life balance, healthy food. But after the first couple months, especially from months 3 to 6, I think that this is where a lot of people change their mind. The big problem with a lot of foreigners, especially here in Poland, is that they refuse to integrate. I think
that's so interesting because we react to a lot of Polish videos on this channel, and we see a mix of both. But I wouldn't be surprised because of just the nature of English being spoken, right? Like the fact that people speak English, so there might be less of an incentive to do that.
most people do it out of laziness, or maybe it's a certain arrogance that comes
Yeah,
with it. A lot of
probably.
people here are here transiently, right? They're here for a time. Either they're trying to make their way to Western Europe, or they're only here for the summer so they can go out, hang out with friends, meet some women, and then they all eventually leave. So because they don't have a lot of investment in this country, they don't really choose to integrate. And a lot of people end up living this life for years. It's crazy the amount of people that I met that have been here for 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, and still don't speak one lick of Polish.
Is that as bad as it is? Like, I understand the language is hard because I'm still trying to learn it, but is it that common though? Like, or is it just common in the cities? I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comments. I always rely on you guys so much, and I always appreciate my Polish audience.
That is not Poland's fault. That is a refusal to integrate by these foreigners. Now, when I see other people praising Poland, it feels very hollow because a lot of the stuff that they talk about is very superficial. And a lot of people seem to be only hyping up the country to get views because Poles love it when you talk well about their country.
I mean, yes and no. I don't know, because we did. There's quite a few passport bros that we've talked crap about, and you guys were not happy about them. So, you know, it is true to an extent, but I don't think so entirely. I like to give benefit of the doubt to the Polish people for sure. But it is very common. I mean, I think especially between like, and this is just my personal opinion, people like the people that do like dating videos, like they hype it up so much, and then that's one of the reasons why I stopped reacting to those or when I first started covering Poland, those were like the only videos I could find, and I reacted to a couple, but I stopped overall now because it was just so like it was just too much. I was just like, you guys are not even, I don't even know if y'all are being genuine or what. It just felt like they were just talking. And I don't know. So I agree. But I don't know. You guys got to let me know if it's worse than I actually think it is. But then again, I try to stick to my area of like history, culture, and like touristy things. Even though some of y'all make the joke that I'll end up living there, or I even talk about like, oh, I'm gonna be a tourist. I'm not there for love. And then some of y'all make the joke that, oh, you're gonna end up getting married here, buddy. Watch it. And it's like, even though y'all might be right eventually, I'm not gonna admit it till then. But like that's the thing. Like I kind of stick to my own focus. I don't really see some of the other creators in the space that might apply to this.
And they'll just farm you for views forever. So let's talk about the biggest hindrance for a lot of foreigners, and that is the winter. I find it interesting that winter here seems and feels extremely miserable to a lot of people. But if you go to the Nordic countries, where winter is objectively worse, for some reason, winter feels better there. And I think the Nordic philosophy on winter is they talk about embracing winter instead of surviving winter, whereas I think the Polish mentality is a little bit more about surviving the winter. It's great
I don't know. You know what I hear about?
up until around New Year's, but January and February is absolutely hell. I'm sorry. There's something about the vibe in the air, how short the days are, the feeling that everybody has, and maybe just the lack of color in the country as well that makes people extremely depressed. And that's why a lot of foreigners who like Warsaw only really come for the summer, but as soon as it gets cold, most people leave.
I think this is where some of you pointed this out our last video where, even though I agree with Wes on a lot of things, we don't agree on everything. And one of the things you guys pointed out that really makes me and him different is not just for why we talk about Poland, but the acknowledgement of things that, how do I say it? I myself understand the winters and I would not move to Poland or even visit Poland without the understanding of what the weather would be like. Okay. Not saying that Wes would do that, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of foreigners who may not even consider what the weather would be like. For example, I moved to Seattle. Seattle rains 9 months out of the year and it's cloudy. Some people call it depressing. I'm okay with it. I embrace it. I love it. It gives me an excuse to be inside all day. um, but the thing is, it's like you can't. At what point do we say, "Oh, it's Poland's culture of surviving the winter"? But it's like if the foreigners never really understood what you're moving to, then I don't think it's a culture thing. I think it's just foreigners just not being responsible. Does that make sense? Like we can't say that Polish, because I know quite a few Polish people, believe it or not, they don't have this kind of experience. They have tons of, they do things together. They spend more time indoors. They socialize. Like they love the winters. And so for me, it's like, is the disconnect coming from creators misinterpreting what's happening, or is it really the culture? I like to think that it's a misinterpretation of what's going on because they look at the perception that these foreigners that are leaving are like what their perception are. And I just think it's a terrible way of looking at things. So I agree with Wes, but I think we need to like take a step back and be like, well, did these foreigners even consider what the winter is like? And if they're making their judgments like, oh, this is the culture of surviving, it's like, no, dude. If you never even knew that it was going to really be like this, then don't even have it. Like, you can't make a judgment like that. That's one of the reasons why, like, we started this video series of not just learning together, but I want to learn from you guys. So when I get there, even as a tourist, I can be a good guest. But if I ended up living there, at least you can see a trail of videos of me learning and know that I have a good perception of what's going on. I might not be an expert, but you can at least judge that. You can at least see there's a sense of me trying to learn. Whereas these foreigners, you don't see that. So maybe this is a side rant, but I think we needed to be a little skeptical on his phrasing of embracing and surviving. Because, if I talk to my friends in Katowice, they're going to say something different. Okay? They actually want me to come in the winter and hang out in the winter. So, hey, I have my opinions, but I don't I'm gonna keep. He's right. And I don't know. You let me know what do you think about his opinion on this.
I personally like the four seasons. Every season has their own vibe. Fall to me is easily the best, and I like spring a lot, but winter can be rough, and I can see why. But also, if you didn't do a good job of making community and friends during the summer, during the winter, it can feel extremely lonely. So this is gonna be the third
That is pretty valid. Again, is it an interpretation of the culture, or is it just foreigners misinterpreting what's happening?
Polish winter that I survive. I am well prepared this time. If you take vitamin D consistently and you have a good community of friends around you, winter all of a sudden becomes a lot more manageable and a lot easier to deal with. If you guys are enjoying the video,
I hate that he's using not that I don't want to be the word police, but I think managing and surviving is not the word because it's uh, you could say the same thing about Seattle where I live. I got to survive the rain. I got to manage it. But if you don't have the expectations of that's what it's going to be like, if you don't do the research that that's going to be like, it's always going to be that way. You're never ever going to get to the next level. Like you should be celebrating the place that you're in, not trying to survive it. Is my problem.
give it a like and please subscribe to the channel. Helps a lot. All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the language. Now, it's not a secret that Polish is very difficult, but there are a lot of issues with this language. So first off, if you only speak English, making the jump from English to Polish is crazy. It's like going from level 2 to level 5 in language. Because I speak Mandarin and Spanish, transitioning to Polish was actually not that difficult because a lot of the sounds that people can't hear, we have them in Mandarin. So I've been able to hear a lot of the consonant sounds and a lot of the grammar rules actually share a lot with Spanish, which is why a lot of Latinos that end up moving here to Poland end up speaking very good Polish. Polish people are very proud of their language being extremely difficult, but are also frustrated when foreigners refuse to learn the language because it's so difficult. I think a lot of foreigners who have lived here for a long time just refuse to learn the language out of laziness or arrogance.
Even why is it really that bad? Like foreigners can't even learn a couple phrases or even how to say names of places, right? Like right now for me, one of the big things is I'm trying to memorize not just where they are in a map, like the places, but learn the names, right? Like because if I'm asking for directions or just even trying to tell a story, for example, when I go next year, hopefully next year to Poland, and I'm going to go to Katowice, I got to make sure that I understand where I'm at so that when I come back, I can tell the stories and share my memories with you guys and actually be able to do it in a way that actually makes sense and is accurate.
I don't need to learn it. Everybody here speaks English. But if you don't know the language, Polish people just treat you differently. As someone who's been here
As
for
they
almost 2
should.
years, my Polish is like pretty good now. It's like a A2, but I can converse with most people in most everyday situations. And the treatment is so crazy different. They treat me all of a sudden extremely warm. They're very impressed by my level of Polish. Now I also understand what they're saying. If you don't understand Polish and you hear them yelling at you, you think that they're just angry and rude. But if you know exactly what they're saying, you just know that that's just how they speak. They're not saying anything rude. They're just extremely direct. And these are all nuances that you can only learn if you take the time to learn the language. But I think that if you don't speak Polish, you will feel like an outsider forever here. And I think that's why a lot of people say that when they live here, it can be quite lonely. One of the things that I like about Polish people is that
They say the same thing about Seattle. I think there's just if a foreigner feels lonely, it's always going to be on them as to why it's something is not working.
they are a lot more direct and they're not fake. So they make fun of us Americans because we like to do small talk and it's a lot of BS. And I can see where they're coming from. But in my opinion, as an American,
That's one of the things too that I've learned. I mean, I don't really do small talk, but then again, I have the advantage of experiencing real Mexican culture. I lived in Mexico for quite some time, and so I've had the advantage of not giving into small talk, but having good, meaningful conversations. But yes, I've 100% heard them talk about Americans. The Polish people that I know have quite a few opinions on Americans talking. So Americans can get really kind of the key word is Americans are very bland as a whole when it comes to talking because they just rely so heavily on small talk. It's like it's like eating a piece of cardboard. It's so dry. It's like even if you wanted to learn and get to know this person, their talk is so boring. You could never. Which makes no sense because you would think America, entertainment capital of the world, you'd think all of us are entertaining or have some type of value. But no, there's so many people that are so boring here. It's so crazy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, bland and boring is the two words that I get a lot from, not to me specifically, but about other Americans from Polish people. So let me know in the comments if you agree. I'm not trying to make fun of Americans this video. Let's keep going. Oh, if only y'all knew the context of some of these conversations. It was so funny. They're so funny. Okay, I'm moving on.
Just good manners, right? But for them, if you ask them how their day is and how they are doing, they will tell you for real. And then they'll go into like detail about everything that's going on. And that leads to a lot deeper connections and friendships, I think. Like, they have a very hard exterior, but once you really get to know them, you realize they're super, super funny. Polish humor is like some of the best ever.
Yeah.
I play PlayStation with this Polish guy that I met in Poznań, and the jokes that we have are so crazy. We go from many extremes, like to religion or to race, but it's all in good fun, bro. But it's very difficult to break into those groups initially. Polish people will be polite to you as a foreigner, but it's quite rare now where they'll try to go out of their way to befriend you. Poland is a country,
and I think that's okay. That this is what's really weird. And this is kind of going back to the beginning, where a lot of America still doesn't have a positive perception of Poland. But because of something like this, like, let's use this as an example, right? Which is really weird, because if you take another culture, I think it's entirely because of y'all guys just being white, that they hold y'all to a different standard. Because if we look at other cultures that have this similar way of treating foreigners, they are accepted for it. But when you guys do it, they think, oh, you guys are, white. Oh, they're just being racist. And it's like, nah, dude. It's just you got to hold everyone to a fair standard. And I think that's what's really interesting. It's like, that's one of the reasons why too, learning about Poland has made me appreciate it more, because you see kind of the lies around it, these lies that are being told about Poland and these stereotypes that are not true. So, and of course, it's all because of foreigners, so that it causes these problems.
Where it's a lot more rewarding the more you invest and put effort into it. The more you learn about the history, the more you learn about the language, really separates you from the other foreigners. And as you've seen on my channel, I feel like Polish people appreciate and respect that a lot. So one of the big issues about this country too is the bureaucracy and the residency and visa process.
We have a whole separate video on this. Before we get onto that part, we have one. Check the playlist below. I want to say this though, in regards to investing into it. I think it's like this. I guess this is more for the foreigners, not so much the Polish people watching this video. If you've made it this far, the way I see it is, even just in learning about Poland, not just Poland. Let's just use Poland. When I have friends that have talked to me about certain things, or they say certain things, because you had, like, bare minimum, like, for example, no history of Poland, right? You understand the context around certain words and phrases, and it just gives you like a sense of really understanding the heart of the words. Does that make sense? So like, you would even just don't even talk about being a master of the language or knowing everything. Like, just learning the history of Poland, bare minimum, will give you so much of an enriching experience, but also allow you to really understand some of the heart behind things. And that's just bare minimum history. And so I kind of want to throw this in there, like, for those who are, interested in Poland, want to live there, travel it, whatever. It really does, like, when some of my friends tell me things, like, they say certain things a certain way, like, I understand it. Like, I understand where they're really trying to say, or they give me a phrase in Polish, right? Or even like the bober meme, right? Like the beaver running around, like, because I look at Polish memes. So like, it's the idea of just being able to, I don't know. I think if you accept the person for all they are, you'll learn to appreciate what they want to show you. It's basically what I'm trying to say. Now let's get into the bureaucracy part.
So it's quite difficult to stay in Poland. I applied for my TRC in January, but now I'm waiting for my fingerprints appointment. They were supposed to give it to me in Kraków in June, but because I moved cities to Warsaw, I had to reapply in Warsaw. So now I'm waiting for the fingerprint appointments again, and it's been almost a year. So a lot of people I know, when they wait for their TRC, they're kind of stuck in this country, and it can take 10 months, 12 months. I've heard some processes take up to 2 to 3 years even.
Oh.
But if you know the right people, if you know the right lawyers, if you know how everything works, then it can be a lot easier of a process. If you guys are interested in how to move to Poland or how to get residency here, all of that, set up a consultation with me here. We can talk about it. Another way that you can legally live in Europe is by getting a second citizenship. There are many countries that offer citizenship through investment or family or business. One of my best friends, Rafael at the Wealthy Expat, this is all that he does. He helps people get second citizenships all around the world. Having another citizenship comes with a lot of perks. There's a lot of tax benefits that come with it, and being able to travel more freely and live in places all around the world. His company has helped hundreds of people get second citizenships all around the world.
This is an ad placement in case you guys haven't figured it out.
He speaks English, Spanish, German, Russian, and Polish. So if you guys are interested, I highly recommend booking a call with Rafael, and you can learn a lot more information on his channel, The Wealthy Expat. All right, so let's talk about some juicy stuff. Polish people, and I would say just everybody in this part of Europe, like Eastern Europe especially, they have a reputation for being racist.
Here we go. It's funny that I mentioned this stuff and now we're getting into it.
And that is, this is kind of a complicated subject because I agree and I think overall it is true. But they are racist to certain groups of people over others. Asians, thankfully, here are highly respected and appreciated. So we're kind of like the good immigrants and they like us a lot. But if you are Arab, if you are Indian, if you are black, they receive a lot of hate from the local people. Yesterday, I was playing PlayStation with these Polish guys and one of the guys was like, "Oh, you're an immigrant? I hope you're not an abomination from like the African countries." And I was like, whoa, bro. But he kind of said it as a joke, but I know this is the mentality of a lot.
Okay, but the thing is, it's like if you I'm gonna hear what they say. I'm gonna hear what he has to say the rest of this, but I'll give my opinions.
Of Polish people here. Now, this may be controversial. I'm not saying that it's good or bad, but I think that is one of the reasons why it's so safe in this country. Homogeneous societies all around the world in general are just safer. Polish people are racist to outsiders, but if they see that you are making an effort to learn and to assimilate to their culture, regardless of what color you are, then you will get their acceptance.
But this is the thing, though. Like, this is where I have the issue with it kind of even calling it racist. Homogeneous societies obviously are always going to be more safer because they value culture and a high trust society more than diversity as a checklist. I personally would rather have high trust and safety rather than a Coca-Cola billboard with someone of a different race. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, the trade-offs are pretty, most people would pick the obvious, right? But the thing is, it's like, if we look at what Poland is doing, isn't that much different than what Japan is doing. Now, granted, Japan is a little bit more accepting of migrants, right? Which that has recently changed, and now they're not. But we don't call Japan racist, do we? Like, no, it's this idea of like, the standard's not equal and not fair. Because at the end of the day, this is the way I see it. If you have a population, for example, that tries to migrate to your country and is not compatible, whose fault is that? The local populations? Do we now suddenly call them racist? No. It's the people that come and don't either try to change the society, or it's the same thing like you go back 100, 200 years to colonialism, right? It's you can't just blame the local population for things. And I know this is a separate rant, not really it's an extension of a rant of what he's talking about. But as somebody who's been talking about Poland and is not clearly white, like some people, I get in the comments, I get made fun of because people think I'm every race. They're like, they call me Indian, they call me Arab, they call me all these things, right? So clearly like I'm somebody who's willing to be fair, and it's I will if I went to Poland and someone gave me shit, all I'm gonna think is, you know what, someone before me ruined it for that, did something that they didn't like, and I need to remember, hey, you know what, to be a better guest, I need to make sure that I not make up for their mistakes, but present myself in a way that distinguishes myself from them. Does that make sense? It's about understanding that your reputation will always be your reputation and not a continuation of others, even if the home country may not see it that way. Does that make sense? It's about, like, if here's an example. We're talking about Indonesia, right? On my channel. If Indonesians are skeptical of Dutch people or the Netherlands that come to their country, are you going to call them racist? No, they have a history with the Dutch. The Dutch colonized them. So, of course, they're going to be skeptical regardless of who they are. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like, you can't entirely blame everything on racism. I guess that's the whole rant. Sorry, this whole video is going longer than it needs to be. I'm ranting like crazy.
And you have to understand where this racism comes from, because Poland is very skeptical of outsiders.
Yes,
due to their history.
Fine.
During the 20th century, Poland had it so rough. They were conquered. They had so many different wars. They were under Soviet control.
You know what's funny? I could have saved this whole rant if I just pressed the rest of the video. That's the point I'm trying to make. If a culture or a society is willing to be allowed, they're allowed to be skeptical. There's nothing wrong with that.
They were really to be completely honest. Another reason why foreigners leave is because of the cost of living. If you heard over the last few years, people will say that Poland was very cheap, but it's not cheap anymore. It's a rich country now. Everything is expensive, or just as expensive as a lot of Western European countries, especially if you're only in the main areas like in Warsaw, right? As soon as you go a little bit outside of the city, it's a bit cheaper, but it requires a working level of Polish. And a lot of foreigners don't get to that level, so they don't really get to experience that. I think the war was the thing that really changed everything. You have 2 million Ukrainian refugees coming into the country, but not enough housing. Housing has increased.
I think so in the big cities, but from what some of my friends are saying, it's like America, a lot of American investment, especially tech investment, because if you don't know, Poland has a lot of very talented developers and very intelligent, high level, high skilled employees, blue collar employees, like tech employees. And those employees no longer want to work in Germany, no longer want to work in the UK, because for various reasons. And so they're coming back. And so a lot of American investment is like, wait a minute, all those employees are moving back to Poland. Let's invest into Poland. So now you're having all this money flood in and create jobs and create opportunities. And so it's not just the Ukrainians. I think there's just a lot of money coming from America, which is really hard to get that level of American investment. So, which is one of the reasons why, like, I think it's a good thing, but obviously it comes with its cons. Like, the cost of living goes up. So, I mean, but that's the price of being a wealthy nation, right?
A lot. Food and everything in general has also increased quite a bit. Groceries, in my opinion, are still relatively quite affordable. And if you want to go out for a date and stuff, it's still not as much as what you would be spending in the US, but it's not dirt cheap like Southeast Asia or Latin America. I know a lot of people came to Poland looking for a cheap way of life in Europe, but if you can't keep up or you don't make enough, that causes a lot of people to leave. Another culture shock to people is just the drinking and smoking culture here. This was one of the biggest shocks to me. I've never seen so many women smoke in any country that I've ever been to, ever. And I'm going to be honest, I think it's extremely disgusting. I think cigarettes are gross. Maybe people like
let's see what he says.
Who are millennials around my age, they don't smoke as much. Everybody in university right now, all of the women smoke. It's crazy. And it's not just cigarettes. A lot of them also smoke the IQOS, but a lot of them also smoke the vapes. I think the vapes are the most dangerous one.
I don't like the vapes. It's going to sound crazy. This is going to sound crazy. I don't like the vapes. I think the vapes are worse than the cigarettes. But, okay, I don't know. Okay, this is probably gonna be my worst opinion. All right, my Polish audience, just chill. Hear me out on this, okay? Hear me out on this. It's probably gonna be my worst take I've ever had. Okay, and I've been pretty good. I've been wrong sometimes, but I think this is gonna be my worst take because I have no idea if this is even remotely true. Okay. So I think, dude, through personal experience, this is what I think. Okay. Of the Polish people who live in Seattle, they do smoke too, especially the women. I actually think women smoke more than the men. I think it's because it's like an aesthetic thing. Because I want to say this. I think it's just because it looks cool. And I honestly think I kind of agree. Okay. Because I'm just going to throw this out here. There was one time I was hanging out, right, here in Seattle. And I was hanging out, right? We were talking, and she's like, it's gonna sound so corny. I don't even know if I want to even tell this story, okay? Because it's gonna make me sound like a nerd. But anyway, so we're chilling, right? We're hanging out. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the balcony. You want to come with?" And I'm like, "Sure, yeah. I want to go get a drink real quick, and I'll meet you up there." And I go, I go, right, go to the balcony, and I look out, and she's just like smoking, and I'm like, dang, that lady's hot. Like, I don't even like it. I hate cigarette. I hate smoking in general. I hate cigarettes. I hate vape, especially vaping. But in that moment, I was like, if she asked me to smoke, right, I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now. Give me one. Give me one of those sticks. I'll smoke it right now. It's just like maybe it's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's like a European thing. Maybe it's just a Polish thing. I don't know. That's hey, I'm gonna stand on it. It could be the worst opinion ever. I don't mind getting made fun of for it. I don't even do story times really because I feel like y'all would make fun of me half the time. Because my POV is just, obviously, again, I'm gonna ask you. I still try to act cool, okay? But in my mind, I'm like, this is so crazy. She's aura farming. If you don't know what aura is, like, aura is like looking cool. She's like looking cool, and it really worked on me. It worked. I was impressed.
Like you can buy it super easily at Żabkas or stores around the metro station. People sell the vapes, and so many kids are smoking it, and they're smoking it indoors, and they start from such a young age. So that's why a lot of these younger generations, like especially the girls, they look so old. They're like 18 or 19, but they look like they're 24 or 25. So that was the most shocking thing to me. It's such a big part of the social culture here, especially during the winter. So since Polish culture in general is quite close, one of the ways that people meet people is through smoking. And I asked a lot of these younger people, like, why do you guys smoke? It's super bad for you. But they say that all their friends did it, and it's very hard to fight against the peer pressure. The drinking can get...
I don't know. I don't know on that one. You'll have to let me know in the comments. But I remember when I worked night shift at an IHOP, I started smoking entirely because I would get extra 15-minute breaks if I smoked. Because that's what people did. They're like, oh, I'm going to go take a 15 to smoke. And then they sit out there for 30 minutes. And so I was like, I can get my regular breaks. Or if I start picking up cigarettes, I can actually go outside and be able to get extra breaks. So I don't know. It could be true. Could be true. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
A little extreme as well. Like if you go to a party, they're just all doing vodka shots.
I swear, if I wasn't Mexican, I don't think I wouldn't have been able to keep up with the Polish people. Because when Polish people drink, they drink, and I love it. I've been drinking. I love drinking with Polish people. They're by far my favorite. And the thing is too, it's like I love Polish. I love Polish people. Shout out to all my Polish people. You know who you are. All my homies. Shout out to all my homies. Shout out to my homies that live here in Seattle. Love you guys. Love everybody. I don't know. I don't even like to call it excess because in Seattle, there's a lot of people that don't know how to have fun. And Polish people for sure know how to have fun. And I just appreciate that so much.
I don't really like to drink either. And if you don't smoke or drink, then I can see how that limits your social life a lot. So with all of these problems, why did I personally stay? I personally really love this country because I think just who I am as a person fits very well into Polish culture. I don't feel like I have to hide myself, my sense of humor, the way that I talk, how direct and blunt I am, how honest I am with the good and the bad, how willing I am to assimilate and adapt to Polish culture. I think all of these things are things that I do naturally, but Polish people seem to really appreciate that. So that's why it's been a really good fit for me. I'm not here trying to change the Polish people's way of life. I have my observations, look to ways that I think the country can improve, but I fully understand that I am a guest in this country.
Yes.
If you really make the effort, you'll find that Poland is a very rewarding place, and I cannot recommend it enough for living. It's also a really good place to raise a family, so a lot of really good things about this country. I highly recommend that you guys watch this video next. I'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. Where's all the music coming from? Oh, that was weird. Anyway, sorry, I heard music in the background. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I kind of went on a long rant. Love you guys. I'll check you on the next one. Bye-bye. This video is brought to you actually by viewers like you. Thank you so much for subscribing and being part of my journey and allowing me to be a part of yours. Let's create new memories this 2025 on our road to 1 million subscribers. And with all that jazz out of the way, I just want to say thank you so much. I love y'all and enjoy the video.